and welcome to the Autocar Show. I'm here in Barcelona getting a little wind blown, but I'm here for the test drive of the all-new Volvo XC90. Now this is a big car for the company because the older Volvo's been around 12 years. It's a long time to carry a model, even with facelifts and changes. Well, it's about time there was a big change, and this one is a big change. It's an all-new platform that's going to be carried forward for a lot of Volvo's newer products. Well, there's a lot new here that's going to be taken forward, so I'm going to spend 2 days test driving this car and finding out what it's all about. The new XC90 is unmistakably Swedish in its design. Austere and square, it looks like it was carved out of one large block of granite. The lines are clean and crisp, but there are a few flourishes like the T-shaped LED strip in the headlamps that Volvo have given the moniker Thor's hammer. There is also the large slatted chrome grille with the Volvo sash across, which changes its finish depending on the variant. And those oh-so recognizable tail lamps that will let you know from a mile off that you are following a Volvo. It's an unpretentious design, but it's still handsome and rugged looking. This new platform and its sheer size points to a roomy interior. And even with all 7 seats up, the XC90 boasts of a 400-litre boot. Of course, you can flip those rows of seats down in many permutations to open up more storage space. So not only is it handsome, but it's practical as well. What's really fantastic about this Volvo is the interior. First and foremost, you saw that they have adjustments, for ingress and egress. So it's really easy to get into. It's not one of those tall SUVs where you really have to haul yourself into it. Once you're inside, the ergonomics are just fantastic. Everything falls to hand easily. Visibility is really, really good. Seat adjustments, steering adjustments are aplenty, so you can really get comfortable behind the wheel of the Volvo XC90. And then, once you're comfortable, you have a great sound system to accompany you. Let's let you get a load of that.
I don't know just how it happened.
It's a 19 speaker 1400 watt Bowers & Wilkins system that gets an air ventilated subwoofer, which is supposedly a first for a car audio. Well, as you can hear, it's a really, really fantastic music system. Great to keep you company on long journeys. And apart from that, this touchscreen, it's just so intuitive, it's so easy to use, literally like a phone. It lets you adjust sound quality, and though you can get down to equalizer levels to suit your own taste, Volvo has some preset options like studio, individual and concert. The concert setting must be tried, and it allows you to feel like all the audio was being conducted expressly for you. The Sensus infotainment system used to operate everything, however, deserves additional mention. The vertical orientation of the screen makes it really easy to the eye, and the tile layout of everything makes it simplified. The Volvo engineers explained that they used a grid of infrared light. Swipe, pinch or tap it, and it feels like a smartphone. It's quick to react. And of course, all the functions that you draw up on the info display also come up on your central screen. So if I've called up the navigation is on my central screen. If I want to see something else, I can set it there as well. The fact that the info display works so well allows the dash to be simplified and clutter-free. There are only 8 buttons and knob on this dash, including the one for the glove box. I also like the volume control that is still a rotary knob, albeit beautifully crafted. Talking of beautifully crafted, the top-end T8 model comes with an Aurifos crystal gear lever. There is attention to detail on this interior, and you can feel it all around. And of course, there are going to be options on what you can get on the interior. We have the wood finish, but you can get a dull chrome as well. There's leather across the dashboard. It feels premium. It makes you feel like you're in a high-end car. Well, I've spoken volumes on the interior, and that's more than I normally would have. But it truly is the highlight of this car. Not only is it beautifully crafted, it's well equipped and practical too, with lots of storage and 7 seats. The third row is one of the most practical ones we've experienced, and even adults can get in there and be reasonably comfortable. But now let's get down to what drives the XC90. Volvo have decided for the future to use smaller capacity engines, but boost their power by using turbos or electric motors. Since the D5 will be the one to wind its way to India, we first spent most of our time in that one. It's a 4-cylinder 2-litre motor that's assisted by a single turbo for lower powered versions and by a twin turbo for the 225 bhp version, which we will see. This D5 engine, it's got a good bottom end and it feels really comfortable when it's cruising and ambling around at low speeds. So, when you're in city traffic in India, it'll really be easy to use. But it's not a really peppy or punchy engine. It's just a kind of linear acceleration. It gets to triple-digit speeds actually quite quickly, but with such calm that you don't feel like it's getting there fast enough. However, settle into a cruise and ask for extra power and the engine will serve it up for an overtake whenever you want. It is let down though by the 8-speed transmission. The gearbox is really not enthusiastic, so if you're going up a windy section of road, you find the gearbox taking its time to shift down, and that really lets the performance down a bit. However, these were pre-production versions that we were driving, and Volvo assured us that our feedback would ensure tweaks were made to the gearbox to offer up quicker shifts. And the India spec cars would also get paddle shifter options. The engine seems refined and the cabin is pretty well insulated too, so apart from minor wind noise from the A-pillar at high speed, it's pretty silent on the inside. Unless of course you're using that wonderful music system. We also had a chance to test the T8 plug-in hybrid version of the car. Now this one comes with a 4-cylinder 2-litre petrol motor with turbo and superchargers, along with an 80 HP electric motor and a 9.5 kilowatt lithium-ion battery pack to make it produce 400 bhp. The electric motor is fitted to the XC90's rear axle and provides all-wheel drive without the need of a front-to-rear drive shaft. The T8 uses the abandoned shaft space to house its battery pack. So it's kind of surreal when you start up this car. It starts on electric power and there's just no sound when you crank up the engine. And then suddenly when you accelerate and the petrol motor cuts in, you hear it. It's quite noisy, and in contrast, it's actually quite different. But there are a lot of different modes that you can use this car in. You can use it on the regular hybrid mode, which gives you the electric power when necessary. You can use it in purely electric as well, and various others. Let's take a look. Pure electric mode will take you only about 40 kilometers, after which you will require about a 4-hour charge. Use it in the hybrid mode and it feels punchy and nice, with the electric motor coming in to assist every time you extend your right foot. But hybrids are still impractical in India minus the subsidies, so after a short stint in the T8, we found our way back to the D5. Okay, so this is a winding section of road. We've got the car on its dynamic setting. Steering gives you nice feedback, feels well weighted, it's quite accurate as well. But the XC90 is not really one of the most agile of cars. It's not something that you fling around with great confidence around corners. It does have a considerable amount of roll, but what it does really well is cruise in straight lines comfortably. It feels extremely stable and planted. It may not be as enthusiastic as a Cayenne around the corners, but for a 2-ton SUV, it does go around them pretty well. Don't push the XC90 to its limits and it will never let you feel insecure. And even if you do, remember you're driving the brand that has the moniker of being the safest in the world. There are a host of safety gadgets. It's a long list, but sadly, the India car, though equipped with all of them, won't get to use half the systems as they work on radar and automakers still haven't been allowed the frequency required. But the list of availables is still impressive. So needless to say, safety is top-notch. Well, then we come to the question of ride quality. But where we were, it was difficult to tell. Now, out on these roads, it's impossible to talk about ride quality. But there is an underlying firmness, I think, that we will feel on the Indian roads. I'm going to put it into the comfort mode. It does get more pliant in the comfort mode, but I still think that the Indian roads will throw a lot at the XC90, and we'll have to really test it there to find out what ride quality feels like, because here it's just too smooth, the surface. I didn't really get a chance to be in the back seat, having to drive myself, but I can say that it's a spacious and comfortable place to be, and the panoramic sunroof just adds to the open and airy feel of the cabin. That's really the key of the XC90. Spend a whole day in it, behind the wheel or in the backseat, and you will come away still feeling like you just got in. The car takes you places in the most unfussed and calm manner, all whilst pampering you in the extreme lap of luxury. There will be 2 variants in India and they will offer the following. Well, we've had 2 days here in Barcelona to spend with the Volvo XC90. This is a big car for Volvo. They've got a lot riding on it, and it is a pretty interesting car. We've had all kinds of terrain to drive it on. And if you're an enthusiast, it's probably something that won't appeal to you because it's not the most exciting of engines or the most agile of cars. But don't get me wrong, performance is still really good. The car is very stable and easy to use. And of course, what Volvo have done by compromising on the engines and making them a little smaller, they've added onto the interior of the car. The inside is really fantastic. It's a great place to be. The interior's top-notch. The sound system really blows your mind away. The touchscreen is probably one of the best I've ever used and the closest to a touch phone that I've got. It's got your 7 seats. It's a spacious, nice interior. And this really is a thinking man's car. It's comfortable, it's easy, and it's practical. You can expect it to be competitively priced in India. Launch is set for September 2015.